Hi everybody, it's week 12. Wow, it's week 12. We have 15 weeks in the course. It's week 12. Are you guys hanging in there? I mean, we're almost done with so many things. So let's get through what we have to do this week. All right. Just want to point out that you do have announcements, and in that announcement is a variety of stuff. But one of the things I want to point out is that there's this event happening on April 8th. This is our annual authors event. It's going to be virtual this year. Normally it's held at the main campus library, and it features a visiting writer, Erica Worth, a Native American poet, essayist, and novelist who is quite the rising star, really, and I hope you would come to hear her read. But in addition, we have works by student authors who are published in Leonardo, which is our literary magazine that features not only literary works like poems and essays and short stories and so on, but also photography, images of visual arts of all sorts. And some of our student writers are going to be reading at this event. And who knows? I mean, I don't know if any of you did this, but some of our students from 1110 and 11 10P classes have submitted their narratives and poems, their Where I'm From poems, and have had their work published in Leonardo. If you were one of those who jumped on that opportunity before the submission window closed, and it closed, I think, in early February, so that wasn't a big window for our class, but if you did submit, who knows, you might be a published author. And if you didn't submit this time around, I hope you consider it in the future. Um, it usually accepts creative works more than academic, and we are working on academic at the moment, but who knows? Things could happen for you. In other news, Emily, our embedded tutor, will be with us today in our weekly workshop, so please join us and bring your questions or concerns, and we'll workshop an essay together. Let's hope we can get that together today. All right, what's going on today? This week, rather. This is your peer review work week. And so you are going to be sharing your drafts, as you did before with your narrative essay. You're going to be sharing your drafts of your informative research report in peer review. You did the drafting and crafting of an outline last week. I'll give that a look over as soon as I possibly can. I'm catching up on my grading. But that gives you the bones, the structure, and now we're going to add flesh to those bones. So this week, your tasks are basically to do that peer review. There are some notes here, but all of this stuff here are cheat sheets and videos. All of this stuff is material you should have some exposure to already. If you've read the chapters that have been assigned, you've seen most of this. And if you've listened to my lectures and shown up for workshops or watched the workshop videos, you also know most of this. That said, it doesn't hurt to watch a video, because sometimes hearing the same message in a different set of words or different presentation, different angle, maybe the visual tools and cues are more useful to you. Whatever it takes, these are nice, easy refreshers. One I'd like you to really spend a little energy on is how to paraphrase. Paraphrasing is really tricky, and it's easy to stumble into plagiarism territory without intending to. So take a look at this video about paraphrasing. It's really useful. It does use APA style citation, so try to ignore the way they cite in text. We use MLA style. This is about synthesis, and that was what we were talking about last week when we have the layers of PIEI, where you have the point of your topic, or your point or your topic sentence of your paragraph, followed by information and explanation or analysis. But you can have extra layers, more information and analysis. Or you can have you can rearrange those elements, but we want to see that we have conversation going on between more than one source. That's called synthesis. So this is a helpful video on that. This is a fun video on writing transitions. I think you'll find this really helpful and fun. It's goofy, it involves Jedis. How to write a hook. If you saw the presentation I gave you about how to structure an informational report, you'll see sample hooks of different styles like zippy, startling statistic, or anecdote, or description, or definition. This is another video that gives you a way of thinking about how that hook introduces the rest of the introduction. Here's a cheat sheet for visual. It gives you visual aids. I'll just show you. So you can just reference this. It makes life a little easier for you if you see the visuals really big and broad. I'm presenting just the general information about in-text citation. Something that happens sometimes is you quote more than 4 lines from a source, and if that's the case, you need to use what we call a block quote, where it's all indented. Oddly, it doesn't have quotation marks, and I don't know why MLA does this, but the page number or paragraph number follows the period in this case only. You'll notice in every other case, the period follows the citation. I don't know. I didn't make the rules. I'm just telling you what they are. And down here, often we quote somebody who's quoted by somebody else, and this just shows you how to do that. We've been through all that before, but it's nice to see a big, fat visual aid as a reference, because this is all persnickety stuff. Moving forward. This you should have seen already. It's embedded in your textbook, but it doesn't hurt to see it again. And a pro tip, if we don't have page numbers, you can use paragraph numbers. Another option is to use the short title of the work as the parenthetical citation. There are different, MLA allows for some variations on a theme. This is a handy video about how to format your works cited page. Sometimes citation generators aren't always your best friend. You do need to get that hanging indent action going on. This will help you out. And here is your peer review. Now you're going to be in different groups. I'm not going to go over this because different people's names are in here, but you have different groups this week. You're going to support your each other by using the peer review worksheet. It's provided in this week's module. I'll go over that in our weekly workshop today, but I do want to point out, hold the phone, I'm jumping around, I'm sorry. Not only will you have an opportunity to get feedback from your classmates, you may get one-on-one support from Emily and or me. If you've worked with me in the past and you need your extra points for working with Emily, this is the week. Emily is going to be available to you to give conferencing help. I will as well. So if you want to sign up for a conference with me, there's the link to Calendly here. That's a scheduler that will put you on my calendar and share a Zoom link. If there's a problem with the Zoom link, I'll email you and say just go to a regular Zoom room. But at least this gets us a calendar set up. Here is Emily's information, so please take advantage of Emily's support. And if Emily's not available and I'm not available, ACE is always available. I shouldn't say always because people do actually sleep, but ACE is your tutoring center that you can access online or in person. If you want to go to campus, there are in-person appointments available. Emily can explain that to you in our Monday weekly workshop. She will be with us on Monday today, not on Tuesday, but I'm looking forward to having Emily with us, and she's awesome. And remember, you've got a lot of support. If you haven't found all your sources yet, Tiffany is also your friend. Please reach out to Tiffany, our librarian. I sent you a message last night saying that if you found a source in Google Scholar and I've said, well, go find that source in the library and it's taking forever and you haven't been able to find it yet, you can use the source from Google Scholar as long as it passes the CRAP test. Did you catch that part? Everything you use must pass the CRAP test. And I must be able to access that source through your works cited page or your in-text citations or whatever. I need to be able to find it. So there's that. Hope that helps a little bit. And then I've also given you a little tip about reading scholarly sources. If you're reading studies, somebody did a study about X, Y, and Z, and they have all this methodology and the results and the discussion and blah, blah, blah. These kinds of scholarly sources have distinct sections that you don't have to read in order, and you might lose your mind if you did. So the best tip I can offer you is to read the abstract, which is that first little paragraph at the beginning that gives an overview or summary of the entire piece. That's a summary, right? So it says, here's what we went out to find. This is what our results, and this is what we learned. And then you can read the introduction and the conclusion, which is also great practice for reading an essay for your peers. The introduction and the conclusion should relate to each other, but the conclusion should answer the questions presented in the introduction. If those things satisfy your question, then you can go back and look at the results, discussion, and conclusion of your of the report and see if you can find the materials you want to quote or paraphrase. Again, paraphrasing is not just plugging in random words in place of the words the author uses. It is about putting the information in your own words and in your own sentence structure. Another tip for paraphrasing, I'm going to throw this out just for fun, is if you have a section, say you have 2 or 3 sentences that you want to paraphrase in your own words, you might want to think about the points in reverse order of the ones that the author presented, so that you make sure that you have put it in your own sentence structure, your own language, and you've ingested what the author intended, so that you're conveying the author's meaning without using the author's exact wording or sentence structure. Always cite, whether you're paraphrasing or quoting directly or summarizing, always cite your sources. This protects you from plagiarism, and it gives credit where it is due. And so anything that comes from a source should be introduced in a signal phrase and cited parenthetically, okay, just so we know, just so your butt's covered, protect yourself from plagiarism. I don't want to bust anybody. Okay, I hope that helps a little bit. I will be around to answer questions. If anything I just babbled right now doesn't make sense, I give you a personal challenge to send me a message through Pronto or email and say, what? And then I will explain in clearer language, because that's what we do. We revise and we clarify, and then eventually we'll get it right. Me too. All right, take care, y'all.